is Juan Juarez, and today I'll be speaking to you about why credit is very important for you to establish in an early age. Most people are very scared of building the credit. The reason why is because they've heard a lot of scary stories about that subject. But in this presentation, I'm going to talk to you more about what credit is, the advantages of having credit, and also how credit is very, it can benefit you more once you establish it at an early age. Now, you may ask yourself, what is credit? Well, credit is pretty much narrowed down to borrowed money from a bank in order for you to buy something. It doesn't matter what it is, pretty much. But according to Equifax.com, there are 4 types of credits for you to be able to build. And the first one is revolving credit. Revolving credit is pretty much your typical Visa, MasterCard, and it's when a bank gives you a certain credit limit, and you can be able to buy whatever you need, and you can be able to pay it from month to month. The second one is charge cards. It's very, very similar to a revolving credit. The only difference is that you have to pay the balance in full by the end of the month. Normally, the charge card is American Express. The third one is service credit. Service credit is an agreement of service by a business. An example of this would be some gym memberships, and a big one would be service from a phone provider. The fourth one is installment credit. Installment credit is when a creditor loans you a specific amount of money and has an agreement of you paying a certain amount every month with interest. An example of installment credit is a mortgage loan and also an auto loan. Now, since I'm talking about what a credit score is, a credit score is a 3-digit number that is calculated from your credit report. A credit score is range from a bad score of 350 to an excellent score of 850, depending on how much you use your credit and how many times you do your monthly payments on time. Now, since you know, another key factor of having a good established credit is having credit history. Credit history is very important when it comes to credit worthiness, when it comes to banks, because banks, they're risking giving you money, and in order for them to trust you more, they look at your credit history and see what you've done. And it's very important to establish your credit at an early age, because this graph, see, it's a person that started at 18 years old. By the time he was 24, he'd be able to get 700, which is considered very good credit score. And by the time you're 25, you can get up to 730, or maybe even more. According to Get.com, there was a branch manager by the name of Bradley Smith, who also agreed that people who have the long credit history typically have the higher credit scores. And he recommends for you to start credit score at a very early age. Now, let me talk to you about the perks and benefits of having established credit. Pretty much the number one perk about this is be able to negotiate lower rates of having whenever you have applying for a loan or anything like that. Because if you don't have credit, you most likely have to have a co-signer be there with you. And if you have a co-signer, has a credit score and then you don't, it's more than likely have a very high interest rate, maybe up to 28% APR when you're trying to get a car loan. When you could have done it yourself, when you established credit, it could have been low as 12% APR, depending on what credit score you have. Now, let me talk to you about what happens if you don't have credit. When you don't have credit, it leads to rejection of a place to live, so you won't be able to go apply to be able to get an apartment on your own, because they look at that. And some hotels even require you to have a credit card in order for you to stay at their hotel. A big one would be credit may also lead to job rejection. The reason why is because an example would be Bank of America. Bank of America requires you to have a credit score of 720, and if you don't maintain that 720 credit score, it may lead to job termination. In this presentation, I already talked about what credit is, the advantages of having credit, and the sooner you establish your credit score, the better it is for you. I hope my presentation was able to persuade you of building your credit score, your credit, as soon as possible. Thank you very much.